All right, let's talk about something that probably feels really familiar. We are swimming in ways to connect with each other, right? We've got email, we've got Slack, Zoom, you name it. We're technically more connected than any other time in history, but here's the paradox. Why do so many of us feel more drained, more isolated, and honestly, more misunderstood than ever before? Let's get into it. So, to really get a handle on just how big this shift is, check this out. According to research from author Erica Dawan, a whopping 70% of all our communication at work is now happening through a screen. I mean, just take a second and think about your day-to-day. It's just a nonstop barrage of pings, emails, and video calls, isn't it? And that really brings us back to the core question here. If we're all talking and typing and jumping on video calls all day long, why is there this disconnect? Why do we feel so burned out and, well, just not on the same page? What is getting lost in all that digital noise? Okay, so to start unraveling this mystery, we've got to figure out what's missing from the equation. We've made our communication super efficient, for sure. But you know that speed and efficiency, it's come with a pretty big price tag. Think about talking to someone in person. It's like watching a movie in high-definition surround sound, right? You get their body language, the tone of their voice, eye contact, all of it. It's a really rich, full signal. Now, compare that to digital communication, especially text. It's like that same movie, but in black and white, with no sound. Sure, it's fast, but it's totally flat. All those crucial nonverbal cues that tell us what someone really means, they're just gone. And this is where the trouble really starts. IE's business school talks about the fallout from this, and it's so true. Without those nonverbal cues, we're basically just guessing what the other person means. You know the feeling, right? You send a quick, direct email thinking you're being efficient, but the person on the other end reads it as you being angry or short with them. And that ambiguity, as the school calls it, is what creates all this unnecessary tension and plenty of misunderstandings. It just wears us down and slowly eats away at our relationships at work. Now get this. This has a massive impact on our ability to persuade people. You might think, oh, I'll just write a really convincing email. But it's not even in the same league as asking in person. The research is just staggering. A face-to-face request is 34 times more likely to succeed than an email. Let that sink in. 34 times. Why? Because persuasion isn't just about logic. It's about emotion, it's about trust, and those are things you just can't fake over text. Okay, so you're probably thinking, but what about video calls? Aren't they the next best thing? And yeah, in some ways, but they come with their own special kind of exhaustion. I'm sure you've felt it. Zoom fatigue is real. Researcher Jeremy Bailenson actually broke down why it's so draining. First, you've got that super intense close-up eye contact that feels really unnatural. Second, you're constantly staring at your own face on the screen, which is just a lot for our brains to process. And third, you're basically stuck in one spot. You can't move around like you would in a normal conversation. So I know this might all sound a little bit doom and gloom, but don't worry, it's not a lost cause. There is a way forward. See, the thing is, the cues we rely on haven't totally disappeared. They've just changed. They've evolved. We just need to learn how to speak this new language, a language designed for this virtual world we all live in. And that brings us to this really brilliant concept from author Erica Dawan. She calls it digital body language. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the whole universe of new signals and cues we use to add meaning and context to our messages online. We're talking about everything from the punctuation you use to the emojis you pick, and even how fast you reply to an email. So what does it actually look like day to day? Well, think of it like a direct translation. That head nod you give in a meeting to show you agree, that's now a thumbs up emoji or a quick got it message. That warm, reassuring tone of voice, now it's an exclamation point to show you're excited, not being sarcastic. And how do you show you're listening? It's not about making eye contact anymore. It's about responding in a timely way and showing you've actually read and understood their message. All right. So we've been talking about how the lack of nonverbal cues online is a huge problem. But what if I told you there's a fascinating twist to this story? What if that very weakness, the lack of cues, could actually be a strength? In some situations, taking away the pressure of being face-to-face unlocks something really powerful. And the best example of this? You'll find it in the world of mental health. Just take a look at this. A huge review from the NIH looked at 70 different studies on therapy that happens over text. And the results were pretty amazing. In over a quarter of those studies, people reported positive outcomes from the therapy. And get this, in almost another 20%, researchers could actually predict someone's future mental health just by analyzing the way they texted. How incredible is that? So you have to ask, why does this work so well? Well, it turns out that for some people, all those things we thought were drawbacks of texting are actually huge benefits. The anonymity makes it easier to reach out for help without feeling judged. You don't have that pressure of having to perform in front of a therapist. And maybe most importantly, it gives you the time and space to really think about what you want to say, to get your thoughts in order without feeling rushed. And it gets even more fascinating. The words we choose to use, they're like little digital fingerprints of our mental state. Researchers are discovering that the patterns in our writing can be incredibly powerful clues. For example, studies have found that if someone starts using a lot more first-person pronouns, like I and me, or uses absolutist words like always and never, it can actually be a sign, a linguistic marker, for things like depression and anxiety. So, where does that leave us? At the end of the day, digital communication isn't the bad guy, but it's not the hero either. It's just a tool, a really powerful tool with some pretty complex trade-offs. The real trick, the final piece of this whole puzzle, is learning how to use it smartly, how to strike the right balance for our own sanity and our own productivity. And here's the key takeaway, the thing I really want you to remember. This isn't about ditching our phones or swearing off email. It's not digital versus in person. It's all about being intentional. It's about being smart enough to know when a quick Slack message is all you need and when a tricky situation really, really needs a proper conversation. It's about us controlling our tools, not the other way around. So, how do you actually do this? Well, for those really important high-stakes conversations where a text message is just not going to cut it, IEC has a super practical guide. It goes like this. First, know what you're going to say. Second, think about what's worked or hasn't worked before. Third, pick the right time and place. Fourth, and this is a big one, actually listen to the other person. Fifth, watch your tone. And finally, try not to take things personally. Focus on finding a solution together. So I'm going to leave you with one last question to think about. In this crazy, hyper-connected world we live in, every single message we send, every email, every text, has the power to do one of two things. It can either build a relationship up, or it can start to tear it down. So the next time you're about to hit send, just take 1 second, pause, and ask yourself, is what I'm about to say building a bridge, or am I building a wall? Because that choice, well, that's entirely